Good evening or afternoon. So, if you all are hearing me, it's because I'm doing a live today to share about the mindset. And of course, before I officially begin, I will be playing a video. Also while I'm sharing out the live. So don't forget to like, don't forget to share. So I'll be sharing how the mindset can allow students to either fail or succeed in their education. So as I said, don't forget to share the live. In the meanwhile, I'll be playing a video in the background.
All have goals and aspirations. Some are small, micro goals like getting up 20 minutes earlier or walking to work more often. Some are larger, like packing on 30 pounds of muscle or starting our own business. Whatever form our goals take, and however badly we might want them, we all seem to fall into the same perpetual trap. We give up before we make it to where we plan to be, even when we know that this goal or that goal will improve our lives exponentially, making us a happier and more successful individual. We fall from wagon early and revert back to square one. Alas, we never progress, but progression is essential. As Tony Robbins put it, setting goals is the first step in turning the invisible into the visible. None of us wants to settle for an average life, discolored by our inability to commit to make our deepest wishes a reality. It follows, therefore, that we should strive to reach those precious goals of ours. Most of us just don't know how. I'm reading a fantastic book at the moment called Burn the Fat, Feed the Muscle by bodybuilder Tom Venuto. In it, he discloses key pieces of information about losing fat, getting muscle, and achieving our fitness goals. In the book, Venuto splits the essentials of bodybuilding into four key pillars: nutrition, strength training, cardio, and most importantly, mental training. The chapter on mental training is all about goal setting and working to achieve those goals rather than giving up early like most of us do. Venuto places great emphasis on the importance of goal setting. As he writes, goals, when properly planted in your subconscious mind, provide direction and stimulate action. Goals create energy and motivation. Goals get you out of bed early in the morning and into the gym. In essence, goals are essential when it comes to improving our happiness, success rates, and overall progress in life. They help what gets out of bed in the morning. The key to remaining motivated to actually achieve those goals, Venuto says, is to attach them to our emotions.
Good morning, Facebook world. So I am going to be sharing, as the title says, the power of the belief when it comes to education and how it can help students to either succeed or fail. But before I do that, you will be hearing a video while I share the light.
What does this mean? Well, setting a goal to eat more protein or swear a little less is one thing. But why are we doing it? What's the point? What emotions are driving our desire to achieve that goal? If we want to lose weight, what is it within us that's sparking that wish? Perhaps we want to get fitter to provide our spouse with a more attractive partner. Or maybe we want to start taking our health seriously to avoid any serious health conditions. Whatever it is, having a clear emotional reason in mind is essential to keeping ourselves motivated and in turn to our long-term success. But there's more to it than that. We are invariably whatever we focus on. If we focus on our insecurities, we become them. If we focus on our strengths, they empower us. That being said, the success of our goal-setting efforts depends not only on attaching emotions to our wishes, but also on the things we focus on. In a practical sense, this involves having a clear endpoint in mind. Say, we want to lose weight is one thing, but our weight fluctuates on a daily basis. How can we succeed in losing weight if we haven't defined what losing weight actually means? Perhaps we want to lose 35 pounds before July. Maybe we want to start earning £2,000 a month by the end of 2019. Whatever our goal is, we need to get specific about what we want. Otherwise, we won't know when we've made it there, and we won't know what to focus on along the way. More, though, having that goal in mind allows us to recalibrate our efforts and move along the path we're on. With the end in sight, we can adjust our actions along the way. If we find we aren't going to make it on time, subconsciously, our efforts will be channeled.
Okay, good morning to everyone in the Instagram world. Good morning to everyone on TikTok world. So whether you are viewing from Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, or YouTube, we are live right now, and the topic is going to be about the power of the belief and how it affects whether you will obtain success or failure in education. So don't forget to like, don't forget to share so that people, if you know, a young Form 4, or some people call that a grade 10 student, or Form 5, which is a grade 11 student, that is struggling with their mindset, or they could be younger, or it could be an adult. If you're struggling with your mindset when it comes to succeeding, this live is for you. And if there are parents who may view this live, mindset is so important. So before I share with you how important it is, you may have seen that today a scripture was shared. Good evening. I'm seeing Joshua Lopez on TikTok. I do apologize, yes, about yesterday on TikTok. I thought I was live on TikTok, but TikTok was the platform that I was not live on. Anyways, so back to what I'm saying. Our belief has power, right? So the topic for discussion today is the power of your belief and how it's either going to help you succeed or fail. Nobody wants to fail, but it's important to know how it can affect you. And when you know how it can affect you, then you know what to do to change so that you actually succeed. Right, so there's a script that I shared earlier on today that says that it's from Proverbs chapter 23, verse 7. The first part says, as a man thinketh, so is he. So whatever you think, that is what you are going to accomplish. That is who you are going to become. That is what you are going to obtain. But I'm going to share my personal stories, and it was on two occasions. One of them was when my belief system led me to fail. And then later on in life, that change in my belief system helped me to obtain passes in those same subjects. So when I was in Form 6, Upper 6 to be more exact, the first term, something happened to me that I don't want to talk about it right now. I've spoken about it before in some of my other videos. Some people would be aware of what I'm speaking about. Something happened to me while I was in Upper 6 within the first month of September, the first term back in 2012 that was. Am I quoting the correct year? Yeah, because I completed Upper 6 in 2013, so it's 2012, correct. That's the correct year. And because of what happened to me, I was unable to attend my classes, my CAPE classes in school for about a month and a half. So by the time I fully recovered, that was around mid-November 2012, I did not decide to go back to school right away because the term was almost ended. So I said, okay, I'll wait until the new term begins, and then I would have resumed my classes for Upper 6 in January of 2013. Now, when I started back classes, my form teacher, he said to me that what did he say? He said that he did not register me for the exam since I was missing classes, or I missed classes for almost a term. And he said because of that, I will have to pay if I want to write that CAPE examinations back in May, June 2013. So I can't remember what the conversation was, but because of the fact that my teachers back then believed in me so much, they believed in me so much more than I believe in myself. Two of my teachers, former teachers, they opt and they volunteered to pay on my behalf for me to go and write my CAPE subjects. And I said to them, I'm not sure I could do this because back then I did not have self-discipline. I didn't used to study as hard as possible. And then most of what I accomplished when I was in Form 5 was based on family. So in other words, I had family who would always encourage me to study my work. I had family who ensured that I always attended lessons. But me personally, I was not really pushing myself that hard enough. Or so I really didn't believe I could have done it. But I tell them, okay, I'll try, but I did not really put in my best efforts. In fact, I didn't even know like what my best effort would have been. But I did some revision and I wrote the exams. It was accounting two, unit two, and the other one I think was management of business, unit two or one or something. And guess what? Because I did not believe in myself, I did not put in the effort as much as I should. And just because I thought I may not have done well, that's exactly what happened. I failed the both subjects. Now, a couple of years later, I was faced with these two subjects again. Now, this was in university. I have no choice but to do those subjects. But the difference between my mindset when I was doing CAPE in comparison to when I was studying at the university level, I had a mindset, or I developed a mindset where I said I wanted to graduate with honors. I don't want nothing less than a B grade. I wanted for the majority one grades. Good afternoon. I am Caribbean Excellence. I see you. Good afternoon, Kia Springer. There's a lot of people I'm seeing on TikTok. Good evening. Chi JV Dan. Good evening, Anderson. Good evening, Rishi. Everyone who's there. Yes, so I was saying that my mindset changed, and there were a couple of things I did for my mindset to change. I believe in praying. I mean, there are people who may not believe in God. I'm not here to tell you to believe in God, but I believe personally that prayer changes things. So I believe in, having that relationship with God. But in addition to that, I also did research. Like I did a lot of research and I was trying to figure out how am I going to accomplish this goal that I've never done on my own before? How am I going to get these distinctions at a higher level? And how am I going to pass these subjects I would have failed because I didn't believe in myself years ago? And after doing research and doing a lot of trial and error, it took me months, it took me years, but I figured it out. And then because of the fact that I believe first that I will, yes, thank you so much. I believe that I would be able to accomplish my academic goal, which was to graduate with honors. I changed a lot of my behavior. I started to read more than I used to read before. I started to do my assignments every single week. I didn't used to miss assignments. Like when I used to fail, as I mentioned before, sometimes I would not always do my assignments. But I started to do my assignments because I knew that was essential for me passing. In addition to that, anything I don't know, I will either ask my lecturers or I will do research or do both because I wanted to be clear. as clear as possible. And because now I believe so much that I wanted to get these A grades or these 1 grades, I worked towards them. And those same 2 subjects that I failed in CAPE level 2 because I did not believe in myself, I was able to accomplish them in less time than I had in CAPE. Like in about 3 months, I had for university to do them. At CAPE, I had, well, a school year, but then since I missed a term, I had about 4 or 5 months. I had like 2 extra months. So that's to tell you all that if it is you don't believe in yourself, no matter what, it's going to be difficult to succeed. But the minute you start believing that you can do it, anything you believe, and the more you believe it, the more you think about it, the more you talk about it, the more you speak it to yourself, you are going to see that thing. You're going to start believing it more, in other words. And when you believe it, or the more you believe that you will accomplish your goals, then your actions will start to line up. So that's what's happened with me the second time around. I believed, and then I acted and did everything that I needed to do, and I was able to get those subjects. So, in close, I'm not going to close yet, but I'm going to share a couple more examples just in case some of you don't understand how our mindset affects us. It doesn't just affect us in education. I'm just talking about it mainly now in education, but in anything that we do, our mindset is like the first driving factor or the first guiding factor with regards to whether we are going to succeed or accomplish or get something. So I'll give you a simple example, right? All of us, I want to say everybody bathe as often as possible, hopefully, right? But let's apply this whole belief thing to a simple thing that all of us have to do or should be doing every day or several times per day. And for you all to understand how the belief system works. If I believe or you all believe that when you bathe, you will be clean, what will you do? You will bathe because you believe that. So you bathe and then you'll be clean. However, if you believe that, okay, bathing is not going to help me to become clean, you may not bathe or you may not bathe as often, which means that you will be dirty from time to time, or you may be smelly, as some people know, or you might start to get murky in certain parts of your body because you don't believe that bathing is really going to get you as clean as you want to, or you just don't believe that bathing is something you should do often. So because you believe that, you act, and based on what you believe, and then you act, then your action leads to the results. But before action takes place, you first have to believe. So if again you believe that when you bathe, you become clean, you will bathe and become clean. So it's the same thing when it comes to education. It's not that difficult. If you believe that you will get grade ones or you'll be able to get those passes that you want to obtain in your education, it starts with the belief first. And then when you believe that, then you act. Your actions will be, okay, things like attending classes. Some schools provide recordings or resources. You could always do additional studies with. Some also provide assignments and then your own personal revision so you don't forget what you learned. So that's what you will do if you really believe that you will get that grade or accomplish that grade that you are aiming towards. However, on the opposite side, if it is you don't believe or you're struggling and you say, okay, this subject difficult, but I really not sure if I will pass. I feel I'll fail, and you're like in between, and you doubting and stuff, or you just believe you're not going to do well. Guess what you're going to do? You may not attend your classes as often. You may not do your assignments as often, or you may not do them at all. You may not revise, or you will do what a lot of people who don't believe in themselves too much do. They wait 48 to 28 hours before exams to cram. And then you go in the exam, you're nervous, and then you're waiting for results, you're nervous because you didn't practice enough, because you didn't believe. So if you really believe that you will be able to obtain your grades. You will act because our actions are guided based on what we believe. I could give you another example in real life. If it is you believe that, okay, for some of you might be adults, if you're looking for a job and you believe that, okay, if you go Port of Spain, um in a particular store or location, you will get a job today. What do you think you'll do? Are you looking for a job? You'll go because you believe it. But if you don't believe that if you go Port of Spain today in a particular store, you will not get a job right there on the spot. You are not going to do it. So our belief is so important. Everything that we do is guided by what we believe. Now, some people might be saying, okay, well, I'm struggling with my belief. I'm not sure if I'll do well in my subjects, like what to do. Now, I could tell you what something that I have done that has helped me go from someone who did used to believe all the time that I would do well, for someone who, as those of you who are on YouTube, you're probably seeing my background is saying that failure is not the end of the world, success is a must. That is not me just saying words, that is my story. Okay. I went from a person who used to fail now and again, fail here and there, to a person who has never failed within the last what decade. Never fail after that because I made success a must. I worked on my mindset, and something that I have done, and I tend to do it still from time to time, and I want to do it more often, like than I used to before as well, is I write down my goals. So if I'm studying a subject, or if I choose to go back to university, as some people would, or for those of you who want to study your CAPE or CSEC, what I do, I write down what goals I want to accomplish. So if I'm looking for grade ones or grade A's or whatever grades you're looking for, you want to write that down. For every single subject, write it down. If it's social studies, if it's mathematics, if it's Caribbean studies, write the goal down. And when you write it down, don't just park it up somewhere. What I used to do every morning for probably 5+ years when I was studying, I will get up, I will read those goals, and I say, I write it in either present tense or future tense. So you don't want to say I am looking for, I would write it as I will get a grade E, or I will get a grade 1 in whatever subject. Or you could say I obtain a grade A. So it's like you speaking what you want. Because if you struggle with your mindset, the more you start speaking what you want or what you're looking for, it's not going to happen overnight. But with consistency, you would realize that your mindset will start to shift, because anything you focus your mind on, you act in accordance to that, and then you get that. So, as I said, I will keep writing down things like I want a grade A in course and managerial accounting, or I will. Will is a little bit more stronger. So that's the better one to use. I will obtain a grade E, or I will obtain a grade 1, and put the subject, put each subject, and read that to yourself at least once a day, every single day. Normally, it takes the first 7 days. In fact, if you don't start right now or today, the longer you take to start, the more likely you may be to do it. So start from today. Write down for all the subjects you are studying or you intend to study within the upcoming week, or classes that you will be attending, whether it's Form 4, Form 5, CAPE, university, it don't matter. The same thing applies. Write down, I will get whatever grade, grade 1 in mathematics. If it is, because I know a lot of students struggle with maths, and some students have a bad or negative thought pattern towards maths. If you keep thinking negative, you're not going to work as you should to get the grade. So the first time you do that, you may not feel to do it. And also you might be like, I don't really believe this. But You need to keep doing it. That's what's going to help you change your mindset. As I said, it's not going to happen today for today. But if you keep telling yourself every day, at least once a day, I will get a grade 1 in maths for 7 days, then you start to realize, I think I will get it. But don't stop, because the more you say to yourself, the more likely you will start believing it, and then you will eventually start working towards it, and then you will get it. So it's not, I'm not coming to give you all any tip, or I don't even know a tip that's going to work overnight unless God give you a miracle. All right. So unless it's a miracle from God, you need to keep telling yourself every day, I will get this. I will accomplish. Put this specific grade. Don't just say, I will pass maths. Because I've had students, normally I tell some of my students when I'm teaching them, I said, write down what grade you want. Or sometimes I tell them, send it to me privately, what grade it is you want. I had a student told me in 2023, he wanted to get a grade 5. And I had to tell this student, I said, listen, there's no grade 5 as a pass. Grade 5 is a fail. Some students don't even know what is pass grade from fail grade. So that is why it's important to write down the specific grade. Don't just say you want to pass. What is a pass grade? What pass grade do you want? Like, be very specific. So I just told you how you could go about working on your mindset. I also shared my story of how when I didn't used to believe in myself, how I feel, and then when I started believing in myself, I worked towards believing in myself, how I passed those same subjects I failed a few years back. So belief is very important. Anything you believe, you will work towards it, and then you will accomplish it. But then if you don't believe that you will be able to obtain it, then you will not work towards it, and then you will not accomplish it. So I have to go. It's Sunday. People have to cook, people have to eat. I hope you all took something from this live, and I'll see how often I can do more lives to help students think positively, act positively, and do what successful people do. Because in order to obtain success, you have to behave like someone who obtains success. Failure, the actions of someone who fail and the actions of someone who succeeds is completely opposite. You cannot keep doing what people who fail do and expect to do well. You have to change your attitude. You have to change your mindset. Change is not easy. I know that for myself. But as long as you are hungry for success, there's literally nothing that could stop you. So you all have a blessed Sunday. And yes, I may be back again sometime soon. Goodbye, Facebook world. Goodbye to the people on Instagram. Goodbye to the people on TikTok. And last but